and thank you guys for joining us on this very special Catterday edition of Live with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies. And we are joined by two of our most favorite people on the planet today. And we're really excited. It's been a long time since we've gotten to really have some FaceTime together and hang out. But two of literally the most pet health geniuses, Krysta and Jeff, longtime friends. And just beautiful humans as well.
Making a big difference in this world. For everyone that does not know who you are and what Pug and Hound Apothecary is.
Or as Adrian says, hug and pound.
I always get it wrong. Will you guys please give a short intro?
So I'm Krysta Jeff. I am a veterinary technician in 2 integrative practices. I also work with an amazing chiropractic neurologist, Dr. Carl DiStefano. And then I work here at the store. This is our store, Pug and Hound Pet Apothecary.
Lots of raw food, lots of single ingredient treats, whole food supplements, no synthetics, and information more than anything. Just trying to educate people on the different products that are out there and try and navigate it with all the different marketing and things like that. And that led us to meet you ladies for our cat go-tos. So we really recommend you out a lot, and your website. So it has a great cat symptom checker. But yeah, we have everything natural here.
We're all clean, so everything here is handpicked by us. There's no sugar, flour, salts, glycerins, dyes, no food products from China. We vet everything that we have in the store so that people can make good choices no matter what choice they make. And everything is inspired by our pug, who is currently sleeping. We do not want to wake him up. Bruce Wayne. Bruce is the reason that I became a tech and learned so much because he's had so many issues. So he is the reason we're here. And
he's the pug of Pug and Hound.
Yes.
It is. Well, and you guys have a great. Speaking of websites, you guys have an excellent website yourself, and I think even though people may not be it's Geneva, Illinois, right?
Correct.
Right outside.
Yeah.
If you're not in that area, I really love that you guys have a website where you can kind of go and see, like you just said, what are really good
stuff. We're working on it.
Yeah, websites.
It's great.
It's good.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
We have a lot of info, but we're we're actually working to get, to sell online more some of the supplements we have in hand, because you can go to the manufacturers themselves, which we recommend if you can't get it at a store. But sometimes they're out of stock, and we have stock of this, and a lot of people like having things in their hands.
And we're happy to ship it. We ship all over the country, so we're
working on getting all the products up there. So
yeah, and I love that. I love a couple things specifically about you guys. One, that you do ship, because there are so many people, we get it day in and day out. So many people that are like, I would love to be able to access these foods, these products, these supplements, and close by, but there is no store near me that does something like what you guys do. And number 2, that you guys are one of the few pet stores that have a good section for cats, that you actually dedicate you dedicate products, education, and food and things like that for cat customers. And I know that's hard in a lot of pet stores because the cat clientele isn't really high yet. But it's half a dozen of one, and help me with my words.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Sure, there you go. I don't know words, you know me, but sometimes it's like maybe the demand isn't there. What are you doing?
I was making sure. We had so many technical difficulties starting. I had to make sure it was working. Sorry.
Maybe it's the demand isn't there, but also that the supply isn't there. And if the supply is there, then the demand can come. So I'm really, really, really happy that there are stores out there like yours, very few, but stores like yours that are dedicated not just to the dogs, but also to the cats.
Well, and I think too, one thing people don't realize, and Krysta brings it up a lot, is a lot of the dog, supplements, they're dog and cat, supplements that you can use. There's, certain specific ones that are, just for cats, unique, but a lot of them that they don't realize that we have, on the other side, or the dog side, you can use those for your cats. We have a lot, there's a lot of different things. I think the problem, a lot of people with cats, they don't just have one. Just they're so finicky. So having, you got to have every single food ever made because they'll like it for 1 minute and then not the next. And even with the fresh food, we sell it. It's funny. People like, they buy the big box of it and then they're like, well, my cat didn't like it out of the big box, but the small bag, he eats it all day. And it's funny to me. I mean, it's.
But we love our cat customers. We sell a ton of raw cat food. We have a whole freezer just dedicated to raw cat food. We're all about it. And honestly, even all of our treats, because we don't sell anything with flour or sugar in it, or, anything that would be cat unsafe or cat, inappropriate for a cat, it's all appropriate for cats because they're all meat-based treats and mostly just freeze-dried meat and air-dried meat.
We sell a lot of rabbit ears to cats.
Yeah, our cats love those.
Jay tried to bring in a rabbit foot a couple times, and I
was like, look. She was like, I can't watch.
I can't.
I have them chains, and that was okay.
Yeah, so gross to think that.
Wait,
say that again.
I said everyone used to have them on their keychains. It was like the Lucky Rabbit foot keychain.
That's true.
That
is so
true.
Creepy.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I love what you guys do. I know that we've known that you guys are dear friends. It's hard to focus on. Krysta, I know you've got an outline for our discussion today. It's hard to focus just on our conversation about really being able to help our cats naturally and some of the things that are out there that are really helpful. I know we're going to be diving into CBD, which is very exciting for, I think it's going to be very exciting for a lot of cats, but my God, it's so good to see you guys.
It is.
I miss your faces so much.
It is. And you guys are right when it comes to cats, and I say it all the time, I'm like, everybody thinks the cats are like the easy pet to have. But really, when you want to take care of your cats, they're much harder as far as feeding them.
They can be
much harder to feed because they can be finicky, and you do have to. And I mean, cats like a diverse diet. When they're in the wild, they're not just going to eat mice every day. They're going to have birds. They're going to have insects. They're going to eat, different things. And so it's actually a good encouragement for us to diversify our cats' diets and don't buy, a case of one type of food. Let's buy a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and even mix it together. But to make sure that they'll, eat what you're purchasing and eat the healthy foods. But yeah, I'm so glad that you guys are dedicated to the education piece too when it comes to cat and just pet parents in general.
But yeah, there's lots of misconceptions when it comes to cats and what's appropriate for them and what they should be eating, and also goes along with CBD. There's people don't even think like, oh, I can give my cat CBD. Well, of course, yeah, they're a mammal. It's a wonderful thing because especially for cats, Bruce, I can put 17 supplements in his bowl. Cats, no. So CBD can cover a lot of things in just one single supplement, which I consider CBD more of a food than a supplement, but I digress. It's much easier.
No, don't digress. Don't digress.
Let's dig into that a little bit, because I mean, your background as a vet tech and just the extraordinary amount of knowledge that you've accumulated over time. I consider you both way ahead of us on the CBD knowledge part. Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of us, CBD has kind of a stereotype, right? We're not quite sure how it can be impactful and how it can be helpful and healthful.
And it's becoming more and more, increasingly more popular in the dog world, but it's not, like you said, a lot of people are like, wait, for my cats, and how would I do that with my cats? So
why do you consider it more a food? Let's start there.
So the reason that I consider it more of a food is because it's a vital part of the foundation of health in terms of the endocannabinoid system. So the analogy I'd like to make is an animal without CBD is like an orchestra without a conductor. All those systems you can consider like each instrument a system in the body. They can all work together and make a nice song, but the song sounds a lot better and is much more fluid when there's a conductor making everyone work together. And that's how CBD works. CBD controls the endocannabinoid system, which is the master system in the body. And without fueling the endocannabinoid system properly with phytocannabinoids like CBD, that system kind of just lays dormant and doesn't have that regulatory power to bring all the systems in the body to homeostasis, which is a place of balance so that everything works correctly together. So that's why I consider it more of a food, because it's a necessary part of nutrition in order to get the body to work correctly. Just like how we look at food, like to reduce inflammation and help all the body systems work better, CBD does the same thing. And I can also consider it more of a food because it works systemically. It doesn't just do one thing or another like certain supplements do. Like we know, milk thistle helps the liver and glucosamine helps joints. There's a lot more that CBD does. It's much more all encompassing in its effects. So to me, it's just as important as food.
Well, okay. So, but speaking of it as food, when it comes to cats, it's nearly impossible to put CBD in their food, right?
Yes.
So,
Well, you don't put it in food necessarily, anyways. You want to try get it in the mouth on the gum line. With cats, you can do it on their paw pads. You can do it in their ears, like the hairless part of their ear, massage it in that way, and then try, to administer more in the mouth. It's just about being consistent with it. If you do put it in the food, they will lose a lot of the effectiveness of it unless you give, a lot more.
And it takes longer to work.
It's just until it gets into the bloodstream, you want to get it in there as soon as possible. That's why with people, they'll tell you to put it under your tongue and hold it there for as long as you can. That's never going to happen with your pet. I mean, I shouldn't say never. There's probably some guy that could train their dog or cat to sit there, and that'd be pretty funny. But they're not going to let it just sit there. So getting it on the gum line and into that bloodstream as soon as possible, and all their systems work a little bit differently. And over time, it'll start using the CBD more efficiently, and then you can, hopefully get to a lower dose unless you're dealing with like a severe disease or some type of issue where you might, have to give more. But, that usually it works the opposite way where the body will start using it more efficiently. And then you can, tailor the dose down. And it's about, keeping it in the system, throughout the day. So it'll stay in the system for about 6 to 8 hours with about a 2-hour peak. So if you could find, and if you got to play around with the dosing a little bit.
Yeah, each animal has their own sensitivities in terms of their age and their medical history. I mean, we've had animals that are really acutely sensitive and then other animals that need double or triple the amount. So it just depends.
And Bruce was taking, quite a bit for a while, and now he's tailored down
he's like
a third of what he was, and it works for him,
It's
now.
minimally, minimal dose, but still effective. That's what you want to get to.
Yeah, that's what you.
I do want to clarify, because when you were talking about, the CBD market is exploding, the term CBD is confusing for a lot of customers. So what we are talking about is full spectrum hemp extract, truly full spectrum, and contains all the phytocannabinoids. It's not isolated. There's nothing taken out of the beauty of that plant working synergistically, because that has been scientifically researched to be the most effective, and that's what all science research is doing. They're using full spectrum hemp extracts because we already know that isolates aren't effective. Broad spectrum isn't as effective. There's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to THC, but the point is full spectrum phytocannabinoid rich hemp extract is what we're talking about in terms of all of these benefits, because you just can't get the same spectrum, the same level of quality in terms of all the things it can do if you start isolating and pulling things out of the plant.
And on that, it's not just that full spectrum, it's where is that coming from as well. Sourcing, these are, the stuff that, the brand we really like and we'll talk about is, just from the buds. It's not from the seeds and the stems. A lot of companies, the flower, I should say. But, a lot of companies, they can get seeds and stems and extract, whatever you want out of it, and it might have some effectiveness, but the quality of it.
Yeah, they can yield a much higher value much quicker using the whole plant, but the concentration of all those phytocannabinoids is going to be much less because of the trichomes. Trichomes are the little fuzzy hairs you see all over cannabis plants, and there's a lot more in that flower, and the trichomes are what contains all of those beautiful things that have all those therapeutic benefits. So using the flower only extract is going to yield a smaller concentration, but a much higher level across the board in terms of, if you look at like a certificate of analysis. So it's more expensive to produce, but it's worthily so.
More effective. Well, I think that's something that a lot of people run into is they're like, oh, well, people said CBD would be good for A, B, or C. And we'll get into that specifically with cats, but they go and they get something and then it's like, no, it didn't do anything. Yeah. And I think that's why, is because there is a popularity and there seems to be, wow, it does. You see all the science. So you just go out and grab a bottle and it's not as effective. And for all the reasons that you just mentioned. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think the biggest problem with that too is all of them are based on weight.
all the
So if you're
dosing.
not dosing correctly and you're given, less than you should, you're never going to see a result. It'd be the same with traditional medicine. If you gave a very low dose of a pain pill and you were still in pain, what good would it do you that you were taking a pain pill? You'd have to, that's why they have higher strength for more pain. So if you're not taking the correct dose of something natural, it's never going to work for you anyways. And that's where, the CBD, you can't overdose them on it. So you can give them as much as you would like to till the desired result and then kind of play with that dosage. But a lot of times people come in and they're like, well, I have this bottle. I'm like, how much are you giving? Well, 2 drops.
Especially tiny dogs.
2 drops. 2 drops of I'm not sure how that's going to bet, unless it's, 10,000, milligrams of CBD in the bottle, 2 drops of it's really not going to, you're not going to see a reaction one way or the other. And that's where people will stop. And it's, it's tough. I don't blame you. If you buy something and you don't see any results, why are you going to keep doing the same thing? Yeah. Right. So that's where dosing comes in and, sourcing. And we've helped a lot of people, even with CBD, if they don't get the one that we have, they have some at home. I tell them, go try, increasing the dose. And I had a guy come back in. He's like, I can't believe it. The dog wasn't limping. I'm like, that's all you need to do. And that's what it's about, just getting the correct dose. And there's, some quality ones out there, but a lot of them are just, they're all the best. That's the one thing. Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. And you can buy it here and try this. $25.
What I love is, we've known you guys for a long time and we share the same CBD company as our favorite company, CBD Dog Health, CBD Cat Health. They really do such a great job, not just of providing a superior product, but their website does a great job of really giving a lot of information and giving us the COAs and all of that.
Yeah. And looking up the science and things like that. Now back to what you were saying, Jeff, about pain. CBD is one of or I think at least one of the best natural painkillers, right? For all animals. And is that because it reduces inflammation?
So CBD, that's the great thing is CBD does work to reduce inflammation as a whole, but CBD can also work for actual nerve pain. So it can do double duty in terms of replacing things like carprofen, other NSAIDs, Previcox, Duramax, those sorts of things, and gabapentin, which is a central nervous system drug that often results in a lot of drowsiness because it's just suppressing the central nervous system as a whole. So CBD works much more synergistically with the body, again, to bring balance, but also to help with the nervous system response to inflammation, which most pain is a result of inflammation unless it's like acute nerve trauma or damage. So it can double duty for pain because it can reduce the inflammation, which is usually the initial source of the pain, but it also takes care of the pain on its own. So again, it does a lot of things in just one product.
So a gabapentin is a very common drug that is prescribed to cats, and for a lot of different reasons. Pain is one of them. Anxiety is another. Do you think that of the products that you guys sell, which CBD product would you recommend if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, my cat has been prescribed gabapentin for pain after a surgery or a urinary issue or like a stress issue"? Are they different products, or are they different potencies or different doses, or how would you go about doing that?
Yeah. So for the cats, there's 3 formulas. So there's Cat Calm, which has lavender extract. Yes, it does. The new one does. Okay. And Ease has frankincense and turmeric in it. So it's great for aches and pains, allergies, inflammation. And then there's Heal. So Heal is the super concentrated product. And it's honestly the one we sell the most of, because the one discriminating factor other than the condition that you're treating that we usually go off what product to pick is age. And unfortunately, most of the time when someone's coming in for something like pain, the cat is usually a little bit older. So I like to use a more concentrated product. People like, especially with cats, that they have to use less oil overall. I really love Cat Calm and Cat Ease. They're great, but a lot of cats just don't want, as much oil in their mouth. So the Heal is great because it's 4 times the concentration per ml. So you can use a lot less in volume and still get the same dosage as you would a full dropper of the ease or the calm. So if it was a cat who's older in pain, I would definitely do the ease. If it was a little bit younger and maybe dealing with something like hyperesthesia, you could try doing something like the cat ease. And again, depending on the cat's sensitivity, they might need more and they might need less. It just depends on how it goes. So I tend to we sell the heel like water, because I think that product is just, I don't know. I love that. I love that product. That's what we use on our own animals.
You'll get more bang for it, you'll get more
bang for
out of it, especially if you have more than one cat.
Yeah.
People do. And we always tell them, even if you have another cat that's not having any issues, microdosing them is the best way to, ensure that you're just limiting inflammation. And that's what we always talk about, is there's no foolproof way to do anything. You can, it doesn't matter. You limit risks. You try and feed more fresh whole food. You try and add more whole food supplements, and you try, once you learn about something that can help so many different things in the body, and you find a good product, why wait? That's what we're all guilty of. Is like, oh, everything's fine. And then when it's not, you're not looking.
We wait until there's a symptom. And as we know, in cats and dogs, when symptoms arise, it's usually already progressed pretty far into whatever dis-ease they're dealing with. So when people are like, well, can I give CBD just to my other cats? Absolutely. Please do. That would be great. Because again, it's like a food. It's going to help them, even if they're not dealing with any acute or chronic issues. It is going to help their body as a whole. I mean, we give it to our other two dogs, Xena and Willie. They don't have any acute pain or arthritis or anything. We give it to them because we know it supports their body as a whole. So getting your adult animal on a maintenance dose of CBD, I think, is incredibly important. I would love if everybody.
And we hear, so many times too, with, people that come in, they're like, it's made such a difference, just in them moving around and, appetite, different things like that. So the proof is in, the products themselves. It's not usually about one product. With this, that's our one product that we have, because it's the one we found that's the most transparent.
It was the one that worked for Bruce.
We got something in the mail from a company that they said full spectrum CBD and it's THC free. And I'm like, well, that's impossible.
That's not full spectrum.
How could you have but I mean, it's bold right on their flyer. And I'm like, I wish they had a phone number, because I'd love to call and ask about it and be like, well, how did you find some new way that I'm not, everyone's worried about THC because they think their animal's going to get high. And it's the very little bit that's in it.
It's a fraction of a percentage.
Not going to cause
let's talk about that too, to the audience that's watching. For anyone that's like, yeah, I've thought about CBD and maybe this sounds good and I'd like to use it on a proactive measure, but I don't want my cat to be high all the time. And will it cause drowsiness like, gabapentin? Will it, what will it do to my cat? Will it make them something different? Like, what do you guys think?
Well, it depends. If you have a hyper cat and then he's chill, then maybe he'll be a little different. In a good way. It
depends on how much you give, but that's not generally the effect that you're seeing from a full spectrum hemp extract isn't just from the THC. It's from all these things working really effectively to achieve a desired result. So when people will be like, well, my cat's appetite increased. Well, these compounds that are in all these phytocannabinoids share a lot of similar characteristics in terms of what they can achieve. THC is just the most well-known for causing hypnotic effects. When you're talking about a fraction of a percentage that's just needed for all these plant molecules to work correctly, it's not gonna have that effect on them. Again, unless you use an insanely high dose. But still, the beauty of a full spectrum product is you do have all those other terpenes, flavonoids, and other cannabidiols, everyone says it different, that are actually going to counteract the effects of THC. What most people don't know is if you were to smoke pot and get too high, you could actually take CBD to undo that hypnotic effect.
Customer actually told me.
Oh, really? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, customer was telling us about that. He went to this dinner where they told him, like, if you're too out of it, like, let us know, we'll come by. And it was all infused meals. And he's like, yeah, they told us if it got too intense that they come by and give us CBD to help us calm down, which that's why if you go to any dispensary or you talk to anybody, they ask, the ratio 2 to 1, 3 to 1, for humans. And that's like a lot more than you're going to see in any full spectrum hemp oil, because they're not going to sell it the same. They could sell it for a lot more money if it has a higher concentration of CBD. And that's where the other thing that's funny too is people I have a human grade CBD oil, and I always laugh because there's nobody that's just going to make CBD oil for pets, because that's the dumbest business
CBD
ever.
factory.
Like you're losing half the people out there that you could sell CBD oil to.
But that speaks to another important component of this is the way and the methods that companies extract their CBD, and why there's pet CBDs that have bacon flavoring and other things added to them. And that is because the majority of these companies, when you look at these CBD oils, just physically how they look is they're dark in color and they have a really earthy, bitter taste. And that is because they're using some sort of heat, or they're using a solvent to process the CBD, and it creates a very unpleasant taste that they have to add flavoring back to. CBD Dog Health doesn't have to do that because the methods of extraction they use are extremely clean, and they don't process it with heat. So all those phytocannabinoids and all those great plant compounds remain intact. And it's usually the CBDs that those aren't intact that they have to add all that other junk to.
And it's cheap to do all that too. And a lot of, unfortunately, it's the way of what can I sell the most of? What can I, look at, Nom Nom just got bought by Mars, and it's now that there's ads everywhere, and people, I had a customer ask me, before I told them that, they're like, well, what about this food? And I'm like, well, all those giant vegetables that they're showing you, your animals don't need that. They need smaller, ground up stuff, but that's for you. So they used to see, oh, I'm giving my dog, a giant slice of cucumber all the time in his food. Like, that's not what, mixing that up and adding that to the diet is very important. But, it just, a lot of it is just marketing. And then I don't know if you saw the article from Truth About Pet Food about the Rachel Ray.
Yes.
Just 6 ingredients.
Dog food. It's dog food. There's actual dog in the dog food.
I mean, there's some terrible things out there that people just do for money, and it's hard because, people get tired of trying to sort through all this.
Yeah.
And, they just eventually are just like, well, if I can't figure it out, then what's the difference between this and this? I'm just going to buy whatever's more popular. And it's tough. And that's where we try and that's why I think education is more important, because you're giving somebody, the tools to be able to look at different things and think about it and
make
then
educated decisions,
realize how it affects their pet in a positive way. And then they can do whatever they want slowly by implementing it, instead of trying to go out and like, all right, I need to do all these things and follow these 17 steps every single day. Majority of people fall off that because it's unrealistic to expect to live like that. Nobody has ever set out to eat fast food as a diet, but a lot of people do because it's convenient, and you just, all right, I'm just going to go do this. I'm going to go do this. But if you had to eat fast food 3 times a day, I bet you people would stop eating it because they'd be like, this is a pain in the neck. I have to keep going to McDonald's and eat. You'd feel like crap. But I mean, maybe that's the way to do it. Like, start a fast food diet and then you'll never eat it again.
You're cured.
There you go. That's exactly what everybody listen to Jeff. Go start a fast food diet.
What our pets eat, though.
They eat worse. They eat garbage, and
especially cats. They really get the short end.
We kind of get on our soapbox when it comes to food, because if people are feeding dry food, I'm not going to compromise on that. Dogs, it's
it all works together. Like she said, the orchestra and the conductor. You could have the best CBD, or you can feed the best food, but if you're not, it's like diet and exercise, or whatever you're eating and exercise. If you do both, you're going to feel a lot better than if you just do one or the other. You can exercise all you want, but if you're eating pancakes all day,
it's like
you're not going to feel the greatest.
One of the people playing the instruments is a middle schooler in the orchestra. The conductor can do his best, but if that isn't fixed, and that goes with food, if that chunk, that huge foundation isn't addressed, supplements can only go so far. That you have to address diet, and with cats,
which is why it's so.
They'll never drink enough water to make up for all that dry food that they eat. People don't realize, my kid drinks a lot of water. Well, you want them to just be eating, more of their moisture. It's like us. If you're eating fruits and vegetables, you're not as thirsty as if you're eating crackers and pretzels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, but cats don't, as desert animals, they literally cannot get the amount of water from the water bowl that their bodies need. So even if your cat's drinking a lot, then that's actually cause for concern,
Yep.
because that's, that could be underlying other issues like kidney disease. So pancreas, so many different things that it could be a symptom of. But even when cats do drink, if you've ever seen our cat, oh my God, one of our cats is so cute when she drinks. It's like the weirdest thing, but her like tongue
This
goes
is
like
very
this,
cute.
and she's only getting like one drop, like literally one drop at a time. So even if she's standing, even if she's there for like a full minute, which never happens, but if she's there for a full minute drinking, she's not getting the amount of water. So people think that they're cats because they're hanging out at the water bowl or they're actually drinking water. They think that they're getting enough water, but they're not in there. And if it needs to come from their food, that's how they were created, is for it to come from.
And I think to piggyback on top of what you were saying, as far as like, thinking about CBD as food, realizing that if part of the symphony is that you're feeding dry food instead of a moisture rich diet for a cat, something's going to be out of tune, right? There's this holistic approach. I think it's exactly right though. And I think that more of us kind of need to, get rid of the snow when it comes to marketing. I know that a lot of people contact us and be like, oh, I'm feeding this, and then they'll repeat marketing terms, right?
Like that's a marketing term.
And that is how marketing works. I think something like this, a conversation like this is so valuable because when you really get into the industry, you recognize how much we're snowed when it comes to food, when it comes to CBD. And so it's refreshing when you can find a company, a brand, anything, whether it's food, CBD, supplements, whatever it may be, that is very transparent and literally puts it all out there. And I think when it comes to CBD, there's that extra layer of, maybe there's skepticism about it, or maybe there's like full in, this is the best thing in the world, but figuring out what's going to work and what's good and why, what are we using it for? Dr. Becker and Ronnie Habib always say, don't just supplement to supplement. Like supplements sound great. Know why you're supplementing, right? And let's talk a little bit about what CBD can be.
Let's first talk about that misconception of what CBD is like in the world, right? There's somebody that commented and said it's illegal where I am. Like there's still, you can still, I think we're still probably getting a little, what is it called? Suppressed or whatever you call it on social media. If you talk about CBD, like they have to like, oh no, that's kind of dangerous. We can't share it.
Yeah.
In our old website format that we had, if we put CBD in there, it wouldn't let us respond in a message. So we had to like spell it out. And the problem, it's tough because it's not going to hurt you in anything you're doing. But that's the problem. People, you're never going to hear of a CBD crisis where people are hooked to CBD and they can't live without it. And they're, going out of their mind because they need their CBD. But it happens with other meds, and people are quick to take that, no problem, because, all right, the doctor told me I can have this, no problem, it's just going to kill my liver. I mean, they see it with the professional sports athletes, how it just destroyed their bodies. But this snowed is a great, I love that.
The cultural demonization of CBD and cannabis products is still there. So we're trying to work past that with all this research. And part of the problem is all these great new studies that come out, because CBD is still cannabis is still a scheduled drug, according to the FDA and the government, we can't do live in vivo studies. So a lot of people will talk about a new study, and it's almost always done in vitro, which means it's in a lab in a petri dish, and they isolate these cells and then work on them. And it stinks because people discredit it because, well, it's only in vitro. Okay, how many more hundreds of thousands at this point of pieces of research and data that are done supporting what CBD and cannabis can do in vitro? We can now make the leap to go, okay, I guarantee once this is descheduled, we'll be able to do these in studies, these live studies on real people and real animals, and see just what we all kind of knew all along. But it's really hard to get past these, like, it's going to get my cat or my dog high, and it's illegal here. And that's what people don't understand about like full spectrum. Yes, it has a little bit of THC, but it's a legal amount to sell.
Listen to some Pink Floyd with me when I go home, or my dog. I've heard that so many times.
Yeah. They're gonna get me
up. Like, maybe I'll take some.
you
Like,
think
it's human grade. You're like, really?
I take the horse heel. I actually take all 3 of the horse CBD dog or horse health CBD horse health formulas every day. They're amazing. They're a complete game changer for me. So this is all human grade stuff. It just
Yeah.
Yeah, she runs the quarter mile a lot faster now.
That's
very funny.
She's like, stop. Yeah, no, I mean,
oh, I get it now. Okay, sorry.
took a minute. So no, I don't know if I told you guys, but so we recommend CBD cat health on our website, and we have a link to their website so that you can purchase it. But we don't sell it. We don't have it in our store because there's all kinds of rules and regulations around what bank you can use and all, all this stuff if you're trying to sell it yourself. So we're like, well, we're going to get the word out, but we're not going to be able to actually carry it. But then Amazon came to us. Amazon was one of our checkout sources. You could go in and you could just, logged in options. So you're logged into your Amazon account. You want to check out through that, quick, easy. You can check out. Well, they shut us down. They said, no, because you sell CBD. And I was like, no. And I sent like several disputes and, whatever you have to do, all that stuff and things to say, hey, we're not actually selling CBD. We recommend it. And they came back with the same answer every time. Sorry. You cannot use our services anymore. Right. I was like,
it should just tell people right there that anything they buy on Amazon is not CBD because they won't sell it.
Yeah, but
there you go. Actually,
really good point. Really good point.
Like, that's a good point. If they're selling something, it's not CBD.
Oil. It's hemp oil.
Well, it's doing such a disservice because I really feel like there is such solid science out there that's showing us the benefits of CBD for cats, dogs, people. It's really an inspiring thing to see. And I know all the folks at CBD Dog Health, they are really awesome at helping to help us all understand a little bit better and how things work and why they work, which I think that's that education point there. What I think is so sad about that, Amazon shutting us down or people having misconceptions, is that it's really robbing our companion animals of great benefits.
Yeah.
And I know, some of the big things with our cats, it's like arthritis is something that 90% of cats over the age of 10 are going to be dealing with. We look at the anti-inflammatory benefits of CBD, and not just with arthritis, but with chronic pain, which is why you see so many cancer patients on it as well. And it's like, wow, what a game changer. I understand that as we age, our cats, our dogs, there's going to be that your body's decline, there's that degeneration that goes on. But we also have to look at quality of life. And I think that that's something that's so incredible to see when people are utilizing a good quality product. It really does make a big difference.
Yeah.
Just its antioxidant qualities alone, because age is the result of oxidative stress on the body. So just CBD's antioxidant power and all those terpenes and flavonoids and compounds, just that alone makes a huge difference. But then all the anti-inflammatory benefits and the analgesic properties, it's amazing stuff for cats. It really is. And especially because things like hyperesthesia are really tough to deal with, and the conventional veterinary medicine options for them really mess with cats, and they harm their systems long term. And I have not seen in practice a great amount of success with these medications either. People have a lot of issues with them. The cats have a lot of issues with them, and CBD is such an amazing tool for that. Any of those itises, hyperesthesia, stomatitis. It's wonderful for stomatitis. I actually took Bruce to his veterinary dentist. He's going to get a dental in a few weeks. And he was talking, he knows that I'm more holistically minded. And I said, I'm going to use CBD as my post-operative pain control. And he said, I've heard it works really well. I'm not familiar with it. And he's like, but I know for serious inflammatory conditions like stomatitis, he even could recognize his benefits. And he's an open-minded, conventionally, minded guy. But he was like, I'd love to learn more about that, because we've seen such great success with it for those really serious inflammatory conditions that plague cats, and there really isn't any other good option out there. So it's and not to mention IBD.
I was going to say IBD is one of those things, Jackson Galaxy says, IBD is just like this big bucket that you throw anything into, right? It's like, you never really get to the root of the issue. Like, what's going on? It's IBD, it's IBS. It's like something's terribly wrong. But
inflammation in the.
But it's major inflammation. And I think that the benefits of CBD, specifically arthritis, IBD,
Feline hyperesthesia.
feline hyperesthesia, stress in general.
Yeah, I want to conduct a study on CBD and cystitis, because cystitis is one of the number one things that cats deal with, and that's all about stress and inflammation, right? We all know that all the studies show that the root of it is stress, but it's not just like feline hyperesthesia. It's not just the stress of your environment. Yeah, that plays a big toll of it, but it's also the inflammation in the body, the stress, the nutritional stress in the body. So there's, if there's something that we can do as far as like giving CBD to stop these cats from having to go through, these horrible surgeries to remove their stones and crystals and their penises and like literally, revert, they're just in a lot of pain all the time because they're dealing with something that could be addressed naturally, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was like, I mean, you're saying everything exactly. Like, I just, it's unfortunate. I wish, there are a lot more vets now being educated properly and, understanding the benefits of CBD, but so many don't even know, and they fear it. And they're going to lose their license if they talk about it. And these poor cats are just suffering needlessly when there's such a great tool out there. And, CBD is not a cure-all, but again, it's such a foundational tool that's so necessary, and at least give it a shot. Not to mention that CBD, because it's natural plant medicine, it's also complementary to other things. So like if someone wanted to use cat calm while using CBD cat calm, they can use them together and they're going to help each other work better. So CBD is so incredibly synergistic when it comes to using it with other things that you can play with it in so many ways and really find something that works effectively for the cat and doesn't do their body any harm.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, I think that and the best thing about what we do, I think what we all do, is understanding that a holistic health means we're always learning something, and there's always something that a new modality we can add to our toolkit, or a new idea that could work for our cat specifically. I think it's such an exciting thing to always be exploring, because holistic health isn't just about the society that we live in right now. Is there is a pill for every ill. You don't feel happy right now, here's a pill for that. You got a headache, here's a pill for that. Your tummy hurts, here's a pill for that. You got a leg ache, here's a pill for that. Restless leg syndrome, here, try this. Like it's madness when we think about the fact that we don't take the time to think about why things are happening, and realizing that holistic health is so much bigger and better and exciting. It's really encouraging to see, especially, you guys, I know, are on the front lines. You have a brick and mortar store. You are there every day giving out education as well as what certain products may be helpful. But I really think it's empowering to so many people to have you as a resource to really see. Go ahead.
No, just what you were saying about, holistic medicine is addressing the body as a whole and looking at, everything and working together. And the Western medicine wants to separate things and cherry pick things. And they're even doing that with CBD. They're isolating it. So there's Epidiolex and, is it Mirinol? I'm saying that wrong. Mirinol. Those are isolated CBDs, and they don't work as well as the whole plant extracts, the full spectrum extracts. And it's just like this pattern we deal with holistic versus conventional medicine, where one wants to take little things and address them all separately instead of looking at the body as a whole and looking at the root cause and addressing that in a more holistic
Well, now
approach.
with the CBD, even human side, they're coming out with the synthetic.
Yeah,
All of it is, different ones for the Delta 8 and all this stuff that's not federally, but they came up with a way to get it. Like, how is that going to be good for you? They're, like she's talking about, cherry picking one thing, and it's like, okay, why do that, and why, diminish something that can be so good if people just realize what they were, getting.
And not to mention, there was just a brand new study showing that when it comes to isolate versus broad spectrum, isolate actually reaches a dose that it's effective at, and then if you go up in dose from there, it actually lessens the the symptom that or it decreases the symptom that you're trying to address. So it doesn't work better when you use more versus full spectrum. You can keep going up and it's not going to harm. So it just, it's crazy because it's like, okay, the FDA is trying to make isolates and these products that are just extracted compounds of this whole plant, except all the scientific research is being done using full spectrum because the jury's already in on that. We know that full spectrum works way better than isolate. But again, we have to deal with these pharmaceutical industries, and that unfortunately complicates things because people will always go to FDA approved medicines thinking that they're the safest options where there's plenty of data showing otherwise.
Yeah, there could be nothing further from the truth in most cases.
Well, and I do want to, I want to say what you mentioned earlier at the top, and if anyone's just joining us now, I loved how you kind of described CBD as a food and how there is benefit, even if you're not seeing symptoms. Cats are so stoic that it's not something that you don't want to give to a healthy cat. You know, I know that when our Mr. Biddles, we were giving him CBD, we would add a little bit for our other cats. And I still think with Pooh Bear, we've got to get him back on some CBD. Now, I know that with cat parents, a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you can't just add to the food, this is sounding too complicated. And I think that that's, you know, we all do a lot of things that are, especially with cats that require a bit more care. It's not that big of a deal. We can put it on their paw pads. We can put it in their ears.
And they actually like that. Like
Yeah.
for our cats, at least, putting it in their food was not an option. They did not like it. You can do that. You can
but it
mask
also
it.
lessens the effectiveness.
Right. But it's like, we're going to have to use a lot anyway. And to put the amount in the food that they need. No. But when you have your cat and they're your child and you love on them, we're always rubbing their paw pads anyway. We see their little, what do we call it? Toe beans. Yeah, their little toe beans, and we just like rub them. The same with their ears. We're always rubbing all over their faces. So like applying it in these ways is, one, more effective. Two, you use less. But three, not traumatic for cats. And that's what I think. That's why I think it is an easy solution or proactive solution to help our cats, whether they're doing something or not.
Put it in their food, especially as a maintenance thing. At least you're getting something into their endocannabinoid system. If that's all you can do. It's not an all or nothing situation. It's not like if you can't do it along their gum line, you just can't do it. Well, he's good. He's just waking up.
Oh wow! So I know we're missing a lot of comments because we're so into this. I know we don't have too much. Kathy is here and she has said, my vet approves of me giving Spyro CBD for his feline hyperesthesia. He's also getting cat calm. He is a different cat. Playing again, temperament is so much better. On the drugs, all he did was sleep and was a slug. And I think that's, Kathy, thank you for sharing that comment, because I feel like this is the best thing about holistic care and health is that instead of us, especially giving our cats pharmaceuticals where they can't just say, wow, I feel so out of it, and this is whatever, we can see that our cat is just sleeping or just seems a little foggy or whatever, but what are they experiencing? And so giving more natural supplements lets them heal.
Yeah, you're not suppressing. That's the beauty of it. Conventional medicine is a lot of suppression. So with natural options, you don't have all that suppression and they can still be themselves and their bodies can heal.
Yeah. And that's what I really love about it. It's not as symptomatic, although it can be, but it's not a symptomatic drug like everything on the Western medicine, really all those pills for every ills is like you said, the little, or even the CBD isolates that they're doing now. It's like let's do this because it's gonna be more what's the word, profitable. It's going to be more profitable if we just treat this symptom with this and this symptom with this versus, the entire full spectrum.
And Laura Lee said you can actually put it in an essential oil roll-on bottle and roll it on their ears. I love that idea.
I like that idea too.
I love that.
We'll use that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
yep, that's
awesome.
The best way to do it. Yep.
Then you don't get your fingers all greasy and everything.
Well, then people you don't know how. It's a great idea.
Is brilliant.
Thanks, Morley.
Yeah,
wow.
Definitely be using that one with our cat customers. They will thank you for that.
Yes.
Wow, look at you, Laura Lee, changing the world.
Well,
thank
even
you.
For some dogs are really, freaked out about people putting stuff in their mouth, and it's harder. And if you can even do that, in the hairless part of a dog's ear, like that's another great, tip. So, I mean, we'll definitely.
Well, and I think it's worth mentioning again to people that are interested in using CBD. I think that it's so important to recognize that this is not a supplement. Like in many of our supplements, we make in liquid form, so you simple addition to their wet food.
Right.
CBD, you want that to go into the bloodstream. So when you put it in their food, it's got to go through the digestive system, and it loses a lot of that effectiveness. So we want to put it on the vascular areas of the body. That's their gum line, in their ears. If you look at cats' ears and see all those little veins, very vascular part of their body. And on their paw pads as well. Great reminder that our cats absorb so much through their paw pads, which is why it's an effective place to put CBD to start that kind of treatment. But they absorb a lot through their paw pads.
And also a reminder to watch what kind of litter you're using, what kind of carpet cleaners you're using, what kind of floor cleaners you're using.
Or if you're using plugins or any of those,
get rid of it. Your poor kitties are picking it all up, triple, quadruple fold compared to you.
Yes.
Preach.
Yep. Exactly.
That's brilliant.
Exactly.
All right. I know we're running out of time. Do you guys have, what are some of your go-to tips for people that are curious if this is something or anything on your outline that we kind of missed here today?
Through my little outline, I think we pretty much
any quality company is going to be very transparent with you and want to explain why and not just give you, well, this is, they'll give you more research and more data, and they'll, explain their COAs and be open to questions, and
that's why
realize that it's not just their way or the highway. The ones that are just like, well, I met some people at some shows, and the guy's like, well, we, what did he say? They invented some way to man. Just like, okay, no,
they throw out a lot of fluff.
No way you didn't. It's just. You're just trying to make it seem like it's the greatest thing, and then other companies, well, we're using insects, so it's much better.
Yeah. Like it's all about education, and that's why we do love CBD Dog Health and Angela and Hernando, because they're very education focused. They don't say our CBD is the only thing and it's the best thing. I mean, in my opinion, it's the best. I love it, but they're willing to help people learn how to make really good decisions about how to pick out a good CBD, because there are other really good brands out there. There's certainly been ones where people go, well, my dog is on blah, blah, blah brand. And I'm like, all right, that's not a bad choice. But if they're doing one that's not so good, I'm going to help them understand why, what I'm talking about and why it's important, because people don't understand all these buzzwords that come along with it. So that's why CBD Dog Health is a great resource in terms of their website, because they're going to help you make a really good educated decision. Right, Brucey?
Yeah. And I want to share hold on. Brucey boy, come here. Show everybody a face.
Oh my goodness.
Hi, baby.
That's the pug.
This is our baby.
Well, and he's the one, like she said, this is why, we were using other ones for him. And then, Angela sent us, some to try and said, just try it. And, within a couple doses, we saw the immediate difference and immediate.
And he likes it.
Help.
Like, he didn't like the other CBDs, and he wants to lick this one off the dropper. He loves CBD Dog Health.
Yeah, and I want to encourage everyone here. We've got our shop link in our description, and we've got CBD Dog Health link there. I really encourage you, if you're curious about whether or not CBD may be something that can benefit your cat clan, if you're dealing with something specific, certainly look at adding that to your toolbox. But if you go to our shop page, you'll see a CBD for cats, and that will take you to CBD Dog Health and Cat Health website. And there's a lot of resources there. There's a lot of learning.
They have the science on their website too.
Yeah.
They have a lot of studies and the science that's being done on CBD. That's so you can learn.
Well,
or you can
new blogs going up on CBD Dog Health,
written by me.
I'm so excited. Spread the word.
There's
one about her story with him, and then she just what was that, the bladder?
Yeah, bladder cancer,
and
then there's a full spectrum one coming out that's going to be really great. But I mean, if anybody has any questions, we're also ready and willing to take any questions. People can send us a Facebook message, email us, whatever they want to do. I know someone did ask a question about building up on dosing. Totally depends on what you're treating. That usually is what a lot of people do just to gauge sensitivity. So I just wanted to add that you can start low and go up and just make sure your animal isn't too sensitive. And the beauty of doing that is maybe they might need less than the recommended dose for the condition that they're dealing with. So you can go either way. Some people start high and go low. Some people start low and go high.
Yeah.
Well, and the beauty too is that it's safe. I mean, I think that's one of the best things about natural products is that it's,
any of the that happen, even if they're like kind of weird, they'll go away. Like static ataxia is one that is starting to be addressed. It's very uncommon, but it can happen where they look really uncoordinated and woozy and kind of look weak in the legs, but it's just a temporary effect, and it's not going to hurt or harm your animal. It's just
and we just want to go down and dose it.
Yep,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah,
that's
we
too
all-
with the THC, they have twice as many receptors as we do. So that's why they're a lot more sensitive, and that very low dose will have a big effect on them. So they don't need as much. There are some animals that are on high doses, but those are animals that are dealing with very serious issues that this is the last, effort to try and give them some quality and, get rid of that nausea. And, they're dealing with very serious issues. But for the majority, that very low THC, works out very well for them because, again, they have more receptors and they're, easily.
And all those compounds work synergistically. So it's not like just because there's THC in something doesn't mean THC is doing everything in the product. It's all these compounds working together to achieve the entourage effect, the beautiful effect of all these compounds working in harmony. Like a beautiful
the entourage effect. That's so beautiful. I think it's so exciting because I feel like, CBD is one of those things that we feel like we're always like learning a bit more about.
Yeah,
and
something every day. And I love it because I get to help my customers even more.
Yep.
You guys are amazing. You guys are absolutely fantastic.
Amazing. We would be
From you. Tell everybody where they can find you guys. Tell everybody. I know under Pug and Hound. Did you see I said it right?
Not Pug and Hound. On Facebook, Instagram, and then our website's just www.pugandhound.
www. What is this?
Pugandhound.com.
Nobody says that anymore, Krysta. But the link to their website is in the description of the post on both YouTube and Facebook.
What'd you say,
What?
I said HTTPS // what was the other?
Colon.
Nobody says that either.
.com.
It's
on the face page. We'll be on the face page.
I love you guys so much. You guys are the best.
If you don't live around us, we're always happy to help, happy to ship anything that's not frozen, and just help you make educated decisions and go to the vet's office a little more confident.
Yes, that's so great. I really love that you guys do offer to ship because I know it can be hard to find, especially right now. People are having a hard time finding everything that they need. So, definitely go check out pugandhound.com. Did I said it right?
You said it right.
Yes.
All right.
I can't. You remember at Super Zoo when you came? I was like, "What is it? Hug and Pound? What?"
Yep. We named our store Hug and Pound.
I cannot get it right.
She keeps saying it.
Even when I'm trying to say it right, so I'm happy that I said it right that time.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you guys so much for
best.
taking some of your Saturday and sharing some of your
ways. And have a great evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions,
contact Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce will be answering all calls in order of treats received. So,
And more treats.
This is the best.
Oh, you guys are the best. Thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you have a beautiful Saturday evening, and we will see you all very soon.
On Monday. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Be blessed, guys.